It's a made-for-TV event. The January 6th committee, which Nancy Pelosi calls bipartisan, will headline a primetime special broadcast to a national audience starting tonight. The January 6th committee hired a network television producer to make the blockbuster event more interesting to the national audience, to hold their attention through the broadcast of this public hearing. I heard Adam Schiff, Kevin, the other day talking about this, how he says the American people have heard what happened on January 6th. But they haven't heard the story in the way this committee would like to present it, to connect the dots of all the events and the players and the characters, and then to portray them in such a way as making the riot at the Capitol possible because of their influence.
Yeah, lights, camera, action, Tom.
Yeah.
Finally, some great primetime drama to watch on TV. This is not Dallas and Who Shot JR. The star of this drama is most likely going to be Donald Trump. And listen to this, TVTs. Producers are promising never-before-seen video. All right. Fox News is not carrying this, but plenty of other TV channels will. Welcome to the 2022 version of what's supposed to be an extremely serious congressional investigation. Joining us now is Roshini Rajkumar, political strategist. Good morning, Roshini. How are you?
Good morning, Kevin and Tom. And I know some of you know I'm a former TV reporter, and all I have to say is I am just completely stunned by this. I don't think this would have been happening in the days I was a TV reporter. I'm staring at the cover of the Wall Street Journal right now when we've got this father from Texas crying in front of Congress, his daughter talking about how she had to smear her friend's blood on her body so she wouldn't be shot. It's amazing when you contrast this with what's going to happen tonight.
It's unbelievable. It really is. So why do you need a former ABC news honcho involved in an investigation into the events of January 6th? And this is being handled by the entertainment division, not even the news division.
Well, exactly. And the other piece of this is, why does Congress need this? I mean, and who's paying for this, right? And the bottom line is, the life of our country and the drama of Americans day in and day out, and even the drama of January 6th, is great TV enough. Why do you have to go to the next level to turn it into some kind of production? I mean, it sort of defies logic in my mind.
But wait, there's more. I just get this, the way this is coming out, and I'll watch it and I'll see what it says, and if it's convincing, I will give it a fair shake. But this presentation, it feels to me like it's going to be sliced and diced and edited to portray a very specific storyline, not a true picture with full perspective of everything that was going on. But are you more optimistic than I am about this?
Well, I am not optimistic, Kevin. I mean, I don't know if I can even give it a fair shake. I probably will be watching, though, because I'm just really curious. It's like this train wreck that you can't turn your eyes away from, right? But this is the thing. It's not even being portrayed as some kind of documentary. It's being talked about by all of the networks, frankly, as, you know, this continuing coverage of something we have to do, or this special, this primetime, this or that. And I mean, it to me, it makes a mockery of what our process is supposed to be about. And then I'm always about the authenticity and the credibility of something. If you really did have this investigation and were supposed to then live by the results of it, you'd go and do this and dramatize it. I mean, it was already a very dramatic day for our nation. So these are the kinds of things that make no sense to me. I think it's frankly, the worst use of television.
Do you think in any sense this will turn into a different direction? It could turn against the Democrats, because it seems obvious to some of us who are in the media that this is clearly being staged and there's one narrative being told here. But do you think this won't have the intended effect that they hope it will as we go into the midterms?
Tom, you know, that's really great analysis. I think it really could turn on the Democrats, but I don't think either party's looking good right now in general. Both parties need help to lift their image in front of the eyes of the American people. And something like this just makes a mockery of so many serious things that we're dealing with. I mean, the time and effort, I'm sorry, Nancy Pelosi and everybody else, that you're dealing with these TV producers, Hollywood, whatever, entertainment producers, instead of working on smart gun laws and how we prevent future Uvaldes. I mean, it just, again, all I could say is it defies logic, guys.
So they're calling this a bipartisan committee. You hear that a lot in the various media outlets. Of course, Nancy Pelosi, who actually handpicked the two Republicans on this, I think, 9-member committee. Do you think the evidence that they present, they said there's new evidence, do you think any of that evidence will be presented from this committee that prior to January 6th, President Trump requested thousands of National Guard troops to be called up to protect the Capitol, and that was rejected by the mayor of Washington, D.C.?
Well, when you're talking about this evidence or new things that are supposed to come out, that's also something that is a little suspect for me, because by this point, we should have everything out there that's out there. I mean, how long is this going to go on? I mean, we're already approaching the midterm elections 2022. So these are the kinds of things that I'm very confused about. And it in that term, fake news, that, probably we can give Donald Trump credit for even heightening that usage of that term. I don't know what we can believe anymore, Tom, when it comes to both sides of the aisle right now. And then something like this, which, some very credible journalists are going to be covering because their networks have decided, okay, we're going to do this. And when one does it, they all have to do it. And some are streaming, some are going the actual live airwaves. I'm really dumbfounded, and I'm rarely speechless, guys.
Bernie Sanders said without a course correction, the Democratic Party is on track to get shellacked this fall. He said you really can't win with an election. You can't win an election with a bumper sticker that says, well, we can't do much, but the other side is worse. Is January 6th a course correction for Democrats heading into the midterms to get away from gas prices, inflation, and all of the other problems?
Well, it's definitely a diversion. I'm not sure if it's a course correction, because it is very hard when you have, daily people are looking, if they have portfolios, seeing these stock prices and their retirement savings going down the tubes. Every time you have to go get gas, which most of us do, you're seeing these numbers go up and up. And so you're really worried about your own pocketbook. And when Americans worry about their own pocketbooks, then any politician, regardless of party, really needs to be concerned. So if we're going to turn on our TVs tonight and watch this primetime, live event of the January 6th reports or investigation, whatever they're billing it as, that really, it doesn't reign supreme for most Americans right now. And so it continues the narrative that I've been talking about for several years, and many times with the two of you, that these parties are just out of touch with the American people. And that's not going to help them come November.
The arguments that I've heard from people about January 6th, those riots should be condemned. I want to make that clear. It was wrong. It was a riot. But the arguments I heard about that, they go to the extreme that these were, insurrections or an attempted coup, and that challenging the results of an election are dangerous. That they lead to doubts and should be shut down, any questioning or challenge to elections. But challenging an election result has always been legal, right? Isn't it one of the tools we have? It's been used by both parties, correct?
Yeah, Tom, it's always been legal. And even just if we go beyond the election results, our country has been based on challenging, the words of a power you didn't believe in. I mean, remember the people who originally formed our country. They were breaking away from the monarchy of England, So we have in our very fabric of this nation challenging authority and disagreement. But what has happened, unfortunately, over the last however many years is disagreement and not believing or not being on the same side of an argument as your neighbor or your brother means all of a sudden they're evil. And that's what we really need to get away from. So no matter what happens with the results of this investigation, as well as this primetime coverage tonight, I really hope it doesn't only add to the rancor. I hope it can clarify some situations, but I'm very doubtful that tonight's event on TV will clarify or make any more peace or kindness in our country. Well, and you can tell I'm sounding cynical.
Yeah, and we are too. But at the very least, it is going to tell a story, right? And that's the story that they want us to hear. Roshini Rajkumar, we appreciate it. Political strategist. Always good to talk with you, Roshini. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.